Welcome back to the End Cut movie review. Today we have Red One. I forgot what movie we're reviewing real quick.
And that's the review, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we need to know.
That's how much it lasted in your mind. Welcome back to the End Cut movie review. Today we have Red One. This is the most typical Christmas movie The Rock has ever made. Not even Chris Evans could save this.
This movie is a typical Christmas movie. Santa Claus gets kidnapped, his head elf has to find him, to rekindle his love for Christmas, get off the naughty list, onto the good list, and save Christmas. Now, as I explained the overall plot there, you would think to yourself, okay, that sounds very Christmassy, thanks for explaining that to me. No, the movie is actually not Christmassy at all. In total, for the 2-hour runtime that this movie goes for, I would say 30 minutes of it is Christmas. The other hour and a half of the movie is, once again, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just being Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's supposed to be this 500-year-old thing. I don't know if it's an elf or what it is. He says he's not a human, and he says, do I look like a human? Well, you do look like a human. But we don't know what he is, but he's something. He's 500 years old. He's Santa Claus's right-hand man. And for most of the movie, it is literally just him being a detective. And Chris Evans is in it. Chris Evans is his typical lovable self. But honestly, there's not a lot of Christmas involved in this movie. Now, is that why it came out in November? A whole month and a bit before Christmas? Or did it come out in November because, let's be honest, Amazon Studios is going to want to release it on streaming for Christmas. So they just said, fuck it, let's just do a theatrical run. And then just whatever money we make, we'll say happy about that. And then we'll just make our money off streaming. Because this movie doesn't feel like a Christmas movie at all. Okay, yes, it's based in the North Pole for maybe like 20 minutes of the movie. Outside of that, it's just like buddy cop movie with Chris Evans and Chris Rock.
Chris Rock gets bitch slapped in here, but
with Chris Evans and The Rock doing their thing. Now, if you've kept up with the tabloids, what am I saying? What is it? J.K. Simmons? Fucking Daily Bugle?
Fucker!
Daily Bugle?
You're hired, you're fired.
Now, if you've seen any
Stance.
Can you pay me in a van?
You're filed.
Sheesh, the planetarium party.
Big party for my sus.
Could you pay me in advance?
If you've seen any of the reports about this movie, you would know that it is a bomb. And there's been struggles throughout the production of the movie, co-stars, different sort of things like that. You know when you're coming into a movie and you've heard this sort of stuff, you're like, okay, the movie's probably not going to be that great. One of the glaring issues I had with this movie, now it wasn't all bad, okay? I've seen a lot of different people talking and writing about this movie saying it was really, really bad. It wasn't all bad, it just wasn't all great. You can't really tell through watching this movie if it's a kid's movie or not. When we were growing up, we had these movies where there would be adult jokes said, and as a kid you wouldn't understand it, it would go over your head, the innuendo, you wouldn't really understand it, and it was sort of just like funny for the parents to watch, and then as a kid later you watch it and you go, oh, now I understand that. But this movie didn't really have any of that. It just sort of had jokes or things on the screen. You're like, okay, kids probably shouldn't be watching that, especially if you're tailoring this movie as a Christmas holiday family funny movie. It has The Rock saying what he's saying, or it has chicks in bikinis just who are front and center purely for eye candy. If you're a parent taking your kids to the movie, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Is this called Bad Santa? It needs to be a Bad Santa or it needs to be Elf. Like, choose your lane. You can't be making the two into one film because it just doesn't work. And evidently, look at the budget. It hasn't worked because you can't be having The Rock taking over production or taking over the script writing because it becomes a generic movie and it makes no real sense of why it's going to be an action-paced movie. It doesn't preface anything really at the start. It kind of gives you like an alluring idea that it's going to be a Christmas movie, and then it kind of sneaks in things that's going to be action, and then it just turns on its head and becomes an action film and doesn't really tell you it's a Christmas film. And they almost forget that it's a Christmas film, so they have to chuck in these one-liner jokes that remind you that it's Christmas-based. Otherwise, you just be thinking, oh, I'm watching Central Intelligence with, where's Kevin Hart? Is he going to come out soon? Because
you're watching
so generic.
Fast and Furious 5. It's literally the exact same character The Rock is in Fast and Furious 5.
I'm waiting for family. And it was different with Arnold. Like, if he's trying to have that career, I get it. But the difference is Arnold actually changed for the role. He didn't just play himself in every role. If you look at
Kindergarten
Cop.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor.
All of those movies.
My Favorite Action Hero or whatever that movie is.
The Last Action Hero.
Yeah, The Last Action Hero.
All of these films that were based, kind of around Christmas or some theme of it, and a kid's film, it was done very well. It was acted. Yeah. It was acted well. It was the productions was amazing, and Arnold didn't have that much influence where it's not creative. It's just Arnold, the same thing repeated. So this is the issue with The Rock. He can't have any say in it. He needs to rock up and act. The last time I remember him acting was in Doom. That's how long ago it was. I remember him
actually just to preface people, this guy has an obsession with Doom. I mean, it's like one of the worst movies of all time. Carl Urban, sorry, you're a great guy, but one of the worst movies. And this guy just always references it. Always.
Give it another shot. That's all I'm asking.
That's the 10th. That's on the counter. That's number 10 on this channel that he's referenced Doom. Somehow this guy references Doom 10 times.
Yeah, well, we should stop watching The Rock movies because that's the last time he fucking acted. And speaking about The Rock trying to act, there was a split second here where he was acting, and that's when he got the shit slapped out of him by Krampus. And they actually had a thing where he dug deep into something and said, "This guy just slapped the shit out of me." Talking about Chris Rock, he got Chris Rocked.
Yes,
that's what.
And
happened.
that's a perfect sort of analogy or example that Josh mentioned there. That in that one moment, The Rock, he wasn't trying to have this hard exterior acting that for some reason he thinks is the only way that he can act anymore. He almost lets his guard down in that moment. He's like, "Whoa, that guy just slapped the shit out of me." And you're like, this is what we're talking about with the lovableness of Arnold. The Rock thinks that by being the Rock from WWE-esque, that he's still like this, fun, lovable character. And it's like, man, your shine's sort of worn off in a way. And we and Josh talked about this. And I think it's because all the kids who watched The Rock growing up are now old. And then the young kids who are coming through now, they don't watch wrestling as much. Or they do, but The Rock ain't involved. He's not can you smell what The Rock is cooking? He's not doing the eyebrow thing. He's just like this big hulking dude who's on so much HGH that he could probably burst out of his blood vessels. So he's in this middle area where people don't quite recognize him anymore, or they do recognize him, but not what they used to recognize him as WWE. Like I said at the end of this movie, I think if they had John Cena in The Rock's role in this movie, it would have worked great. Or even, there's a character in this movie called Krampus, who's a guy in prosthetics who look like a Minotaur. And I think if you had that as The Rock, it would have worked a lot better. I think if you reduced the role that he had in this, so he wasn't so front and center, he would have been really good in the movie. And if you had made Chris Evans, which he already is anyway, but more front and center, and made the storyline more about him and his kid rekindling, him finding his love for Christmas again, essentially the plot of Fred Claus, which is what all these Christmas movies are, I guess. They, at some point or another, they end up being the Santa Claus or Fred Claus. There's not a lot you can really work with. But if they had gone that way, I think this movie would have worked great. But it's unfortunately, it's produced by The Rock. So, of course, he's going to have to be in it front and center. And it's like, he's too front and center.
Yeah, all the time. Like, it's fine if you do it, sometimes. But we saw what happened with Black Adam when he took over, and it destroyed the movie.
Yes.
It's a similar scenario. And when you hear all the issues going on prior to the movie even starting, he's rocking up late to work. He's extending people's pay so that now they're getting covered for healthcare, which is probably good. But, this guy's ruining basically. This guy's probably ruining the production.
Braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
He's literally just covering all of his bases with extending the movie and being tardy and stuff like that. So the movie's kind of set up to fail, but not saying that this movie was completely terrible, because I've seen worse movies than this, Borderlands being one of them.
Facts.
Always going to mention this. That's going to be the 10th time I mentioned that as well.
Yes.
Not saying that this film was bad or anything like that. It was just such a mediocre movie. That's all it was. It was like there was nothing going on. The Rock wasn't really acting. I needed him to probably say his lines better or put more emphasis into certain lines if you want us to feel something throughout this film. The rest of it was just kind of Chris Evans giving it his all in his own way.
As he does.
As he normally does, because he goes all out for roles. And then you get The Rock and it just brings everything down. So
as Josh is saying there, like, it didn't even have any redeeming qualities in the world of a Christmassy movie. Like, it didn't feel like a Christmas movie for half of the movie.
Yeah.
There was a period for probably 40 minutes in the middle of the movie where there was nothing relating to Christmas whatsoever.
Nothing.
You had, like, his brother, who doesn't even look anything... mythical, yes. Not Christmassy, though. And even, like, J.K. Simmons, who's Santa in this, he's not in it. He's in it for 15 minutes at the start of the movie, and then he's not in it for the rest of the movie.
If I was to act, I want his goddamn position.
Yes.
I want to get paid that much for literally sleeping the whole movie. Yeah. The guy was... that's incredible. And by the way, can we just say, phenomenal physique for a 70-year-old.
RFK Jr. must have been in control of this this movie, because the body positivity for Santa in this one, he was jacked. I mean, J.K. Simmons is 70 years old, and he's jacked.
And as Jordy was saying, when you like forget it's a Christmas movie, that's obviously a massive issue. But what the movie should have been is the first 20 minutes of this film, and then the last 20 minutes of this film, and that should have been the whole film. That was the most Christmassy it was at the whole time. It forgot so much that it needed to remind you at the end. The whole premise of this film is basically to save Santa and then get Chris Evans to redeem his childlike quality, and you forget that literally the whole movie until the end, where The Rock starts to then see, oh my God, everything's coming back to me. I don't want to actually leave my job. I want to stay here and be with you. And I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot. That's completely the whole point of this movie, is that they're supposed to be childlike wonder when it comes to Christmas, because it's all supposed to be about, the spirit of Christmas. He's Mr. Claus. What's he bringing? Joy and cheer, or whatever it is. And they keep prefacing this, yet you keep forgetting, just because The movie's not based in Christmas, which...
If they were going with the more mythological, historical version of Christmas, like Dwight Schrute would say, what would he call it? Krampus or something, where it was Christmas was a scary old lady, and that's what the whole thing of Christmas was. It was about getting coal, and you say, okay, it sort of has that vibe, but the movie was marketed as a Christmas family fun movie, and it just doesn't have any of those qualities at all. I think the gorilla character, that could be a really interesting character to build a whole movie around. There's a few other weird things in this movie that we've just got to mention. I mean, they are probably going to get done for plagiarism. Ant-Man. Marvel needs to sue this movie because they literally stole Ant-Man's concept and made The Rock the Ant-Man. I don't know why or where they thought that was a smart idea. Now, turning like Hot Wheel cars and small little toys into being able to real things, awesome. That's a great concept. And that is so Christmassy. I mean, it's so typical, right?
Where's Wonder Woman?
Why is he Ant-Man? Why? This is what I'm saying. The Rock did this movie because he couldn't get into Marvel, so he went, I'm going to get Marvel's number 1 man or number 2 man, Chris Evans, and I'm going to make myself Ant-Man. And I'm going to say, listen, Marvel, this is what I should have been. And then Marvel's going to look there and go, this is why we didn't pick you, buddy, because you're not there. Like, it's just not it. And then Dana White must have called up and said, listen, I need some promo. You want to promote the greatest competition in the world, the biggest sporting competition in the world, even though they only average 20 million views a year or something like that.
Got the most followers out of everyone.
Exactly. According to Dana, it's the biggest thing ever. But there's a 15-minute part of the movie where it's just power slap. Yeah. It literally is just power slap propaganda.
Yeah, and they renamed it to like
Crumper
slapping, yeah, whatever.
And literally, I'm watching it going, this is just power slap on the TV screen. And once again, I think this harkens back to it. The Rock going, I know what people want to see. And it's like, buddy, you don't know what people want to see.
He does not have an original idea. It is all stolen from everything in life where he's like, I don't know what to do anymore because people are hating my shit. Let's put all the most, alleged, most popular things in the movie and then it will fucking do well. The Rock, listen to me, Dwayne. You need to just learn how to act the role. You don't need to be a brooding guy. What was the point, by the way, of you being able to catch everything on a whim at the very start of the film? What was that fucking signifying? That you had quick reflexes? I don't give a shit if you have quick Just fucking act like an elf that you were supposed to do. And they renamed what elf was. Instead of it was elf, it was extremely large and formidable. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Elf.
Which is once again The Rock just tapping into the fact that you just knew from that moment, it's like, okay, all he's going to be is this big brooding guy. And he's going to have no more redeeming qualities in life.
And unfortunately, this movie can't be redeemed. It did have certain things where it could have worked if you changed a few things of this whole film, but at the end of the day, it is just going to be a bomb because The Rock is a part of it, and unfortunately that's what it is. And not to say that as an average viewer who doesn't, meticulously go into these films like reviewers do when we, basically cherry pick the fuck out of the whole film. As a normal viewer, you're probably going to sit there, you're going to be like, wow, this actually wasn't as bad as what people are saying. This is okay. It's not, it's okay. But what it is it's forgettable. You'll watch this, you'll be like, okay, I didn't mind it. It was pretty average. Forgettable. You won't even remember really what happened in this film. That's the perfect way to sum this whole movie up. It's a one watch. It's not a Christmas classic like the rest of them are. It's just a one watch. See you later. I forget what's going on. I remember one thing about it, probably the slap, the Krampus slap. So as always, guys, we end these reviews with a rating, and I'm going to rate this probably a 5 overall. It's such a forgettable film. It's just mediocre, and if you want to go watch it once, go watch it, but wait for streaming, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, I think Chris Evans should do definitely a Christmas movie, and he should have one where he's the center of attention and really hone in on the Christmassy stuff. But this movie was just boring. It really was boring. And I don't really think watching it now, I know I'm a bit older, but there is anything really for young kids to want to go see this movie either. Like if you were looking for a Christmassy holiday movie, you're not going to put this on because half the movie, 3/4 of the movie isn't Christmassy. So I don't know what they were going for. That's probably why it was released in November.
Anyway, guys, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content.
Question of the day. What is your favorite Christmas movie? This is a loaded question, but for me, it has to be The Santa Claus, Tim Allen, greatest guy.
Mine's, funnily enough, Home Alone.
Facts.
Home Alone is my all-time number one.
It's because DT's in it.
100%. 100%.
Excuse me. Where's the elevator?
Where's the elevator? It's just over there, kid. Anyway, guys, once again, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And also, comment down, did you think this movie was bad? What did you think about this movie? What did you like about it? I mean, we just thought it was a nothing movie, which is so typical in this day and age. But let us know what you thought.
Anyway, guys, peace, we out.
Peace.
And cut.